Emma walked into the grocery store just like every Saturday. Her blonde braid swung behind her back, tank top snug, and phone in hand. Her beauty always got attention, but never the kind that felt good. Whispers trailed behind her like shadows. "She's hot, but dumb," said a woman near the apples. "Bet she's with some rich guy," a cashier muttered. Emma heard it all. She always did. But reacting only made things worse. So, she kept walking, head high, eyes forward. What they didn't know. She worked 2 jobs, paid her own rent, and just finished a 14-hour EMT night shift. What people saw was a face. What they ignored was a fire. Emma had saved 3 lives in the past month alone, 1 from a car crash, 1 from a heart attack, 1 from a choking incident. But none of that seemed to matter here. This small town had already decided who she was. Too pretty to be smart. Too stylish to be serious. Too perfect to be real. Emma walked faster, avoiding eye contact, heading toward the protein bar section when her keys fell to the floor. She crouched to grab them, reaching under the shelf. That's when she heard a voice, "Hey, I think these are yours." She looked up. A man stood there, tall and casual, holding out her keys. Brown hair, kind eyes, clean shirt tucked into worn jeans. Beside him stood a quiet boy with wide eyes and a sketchbook hugged to his chest. Emma took the keys hesitantly. "Thanks," she said. "No problem. I'm Daniel, and this is Max," the man replied, smiling. Emma knelt to Max's level and said warmly, "Hi, Max. I like your drawings." The boy gave a small, shy smile. Emma stood up. Daniel didn't flirt. He didn't smirk. He simply treated her like a person. They chatted briefly. Just small talk, groceries, weather, kids. Emma found herself smiling without forcing it. Daniel didn't ask for her number or throw a compliment. He simply introduced himself and walked away. But something about that moment stayed with her. She kept thinking about the way Max clutched that sketchbook and how Daniel's tone had no judgment in it. That was rare. Most people either stared or ignored her. No one looked at her like she mattered. But he did. It wasn't love at first sight. It was something quieter, dignity. Respect. And Emma wasn't used to it. Days passed. Then weeks. Emma saw Daniel and Max again, once at the park, then outside a diner, and once more at a bookstore. Every time, they greeted her warmly. And every time, she noticed something new. Daniel listened. Max smiled more. Emma started to feel like she belonged, at least to those 2. One afternoon at the park, Max had a meltdown. He cried uncontrollably on a bench while Daniel tried to comfort him. Emma was walking by. She could have kept walking. But she didn't. She sat quietly beside Max, pulled out a napkin, and started sketching with a pen. Max sniffled and peeked over. "What are you drawing?" he asked. "You," Emma said, smiling. On the napkin was a superhero version of Max, cape, mask, flying over buildings. His frown broke into a giggle. "That's me?" "Yep," she replied. "Even superheroes cry sometimes." Daniel stood nearby, stunned. Emma had calmed Max without saying much, just by being present. It wasn't forced. It was natural. It was real. Daniel saw something in her he hadn't seen in anyone for a long time, empathy without expectation. In that moment, Emma wasn't the town's misunderstood girl. She was Max's hero. That night, Daniel messaged her on Facebook. "Thank you for today. Max thinks you're a real-life Wonder Woman." Emma read the message and smiled. No one had ever called her a hero before. They continued to talk after that, slowly, carefully, building trust. She told him how people judged her by her face, how hard it was to be taken seriously. Daniel shared his own story, his divorce, the custody battle, the decision to move here for Max's peace. They both carried scars. But together, the silence didn't hurt as much. They understood each other in ways others never had. One day, Daniel invited her to a local community fundraiser. Emma hesitated. "They'll judge me," she said. "They always do." Daniel looked at her, steady and kind. "Then let them. You're not here to impress. You're here to live your truth." Emma paused. No one had ever said that to her before. Not her parents. Not her coworkers. Not even herself. That night, she showed up at the fundraiser, not in heels, not in makeup, but in sneakers and a hoodie. And she worked. She organized donation tables, guided children to their booths, passed out water, and stayed until the last chair was folded. People started to notice. But this time, they weren't judging. They were watching. "She's actually helpful," someone said. "Didn't know she volunteered," another whispered. It wasn't admiration. Not yet. But it wasn't cruelty either. It was curiosity. A slow shift. A question in their eyes. Emma didn't change to earn their respect. She just finally had the space to be herself. When the event ended, Daniel walked her to her car. "You changed people tonight," he said. She looked at him with tired eyes and a gentle smile. "No. You just gave me permission to be seen." Back in town, things didn't become perfect overnight. But they became possible. The cashier who used to mutter under his breath now gave her a polite nod. A mother from the fundraiser waved at her from her car. A child ran up to show her a drawing. And Max? He began calling her Em the Brave. Emma never asked to be a hero. She just wanted to be respected. And when no one else offered her that space, one man and one small boy did. Because sometimes, all it takes to shatter a lie is one person speaking with truth. 3 weeks passed since the fundraiser, and Emma had become a familiar name, but the past still lingered. The gossip hadn't died completely. Some people were still waiting for her to mess up, to prove their assumptions right. Others were just confused. Was she always this kind? They'd whisper. Emma didn't care anymore. Not as much, at least. Daniel and Max had become a part of her daily life. She helped Max with drawings, shared quiet coffees with Daniel, and for the first time, felt seen. But one missing child would soon test the very soul of this misunderstood woman. Bella was 7, tiny, quiet, the daughter of a local schoolteacher. On a Tuesday evening, she vanished after school. Panic tore through the town like a wildfire. Police lights flashed. Parents wept. Search parties formed near the woods and riverbanks. Emma had just finished a 14-hour EMT night shift when she heard the news. Her legs were aching. Her eyes heavy. But she didn't go home. She changed into boots, grabbed a flashlight, and joined the search without telling anyone. Daniel saw her pull up, mud already on her jeans. "You sure?" he asked gently. She nodded once. "I have to." The night air was cold, and the terrain was brutal. Volunteers dropped off by midnight. Emma stayed. She coordinated maps, offered energy bars, and led searches through rough ground. At 4:30 a.m., she spotted something, Bella's purple shoe stuck between rocks near the river. Her heart stopped. She called out, but only the rushing water answered. Without waiting, she climbed down the slope barefoot, shoes lost in mud. That's when she found Bella, curled up, shivering under a branch, face pale and eyes wide with fear. Emma wrapped her in her hoodie and whispered, "It's okay, sweetheart. I've got you." She carried Bella uphill, every step a battle against rocks and exhaustion. Her hands bled from thorns. Her knees shook. But she didn't stop. Not once. Sirens screamed as she reached the main road. People gasped. Bella's mother collapsed in tears. Cameras flashed. Emma didn't speak. She handed the child to her mom and stepped back quietly. She didn't want attention. She just wanted the girl safe. Then, like poison in a moment of peace, someone sneered from the crowd, "Well, guess she's finally good for something other than taking selfies." Laughter followed. And for a moment, everything froze. Emma lowered her eyes, embarrassed, tired, and hurt. No matter what she did, people still dragged her name through the dirt. She turned to walk away, when a calm but powerful voice rose from behind her. "You know what's actually dumb?" It was Daniel. His arm was around Max. His tone wasn't angry, but it cut deeper than any shout. Judging someone brave enough to search through a river in the dark for a stranger's child. Someone who's saved lives while most of us were asleep. If she's dumb, then we all better pray to be a little more like her. The laughter vanished. Silence took over. People stared, not at Emma this time, but at Daniel. And then at themselves. The teacher whose child Emma just saved began to clap. Then a firefighter. Then a nurse. One by one, the town erupted in applause. Emma stood frozen, tears in her eyes. Not from exhaustion. But from the feeling of finally, being defended. Not by yelling. Not by drama. But by quiet, steady truth. Daniel walked to her, didn't say anything more. He just stood beside her. That simple act said everything. Sometimes, class doesn't shout. It simply stands firm. After that night, things shifted permanently. Emma was interviewed on local news. Her story was shared on Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. "Real-life hero," the headline said. But Emma never posted about it herself. She didn't need to. What mattered was that Bella was safe, and the town had finally seen who she really was. She was invited to schools to speak about first aid. A local college asked her to record emergency training videos. Her YouTube channel, once ignored, now had thousands of subscribers learning from her quiet courage. Emma wasn't just changing how people saw her. She was changing how they thought. Max gifted her a drawing a week later. It showed her carrying Bella out of the woods, a red cape around her shoulders. Underneath, he had written, "My hero wears sneakers and a hoodie." Emma framed it and placed it by her bedside. She smiled every time she saw it. For the first time in her life, someone looked beyond her hair, her eyes, her figure, and saw her. Not a perfect girl. Not a flawless hero. Just someone who kept showing up, even when people said she couldn't. Even when they tried to make her small. One morning, Daniel took her to a quiet breakfast diner outside town. Over pancakes and coffee, he said softly, "Thank you." She looked confused. "For what?" "For proving every label wrong," he replied. "For being brave. And for being Max's hero, and mine." She smiled, touched. "I didn't do anything special." Daniel looked her in the eye. "You did everything special. You just never needed a spotlight to shine." That's when Emma realized, this wasn't just about judgment anymore. It was about healing. And respect. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something real. 6 months later, Emma wasn't just known as the pretty girl in town. She was a certified community trainer, a speaker, and Max's best friend. She started a project to teach first aid to teens. Daniel supported her every step of the way. They weren't rushing into romance. They didn't need to. They were building something stronger: trust, respect, and family. Emma had never asked for admiration. All she wanted was to be heard. And when the world refused to listen, one single dad stood beside her, speaking with class, and changed everything.